Welcome to the Unaffiliated Creatives Podcast, a show where independent artists can learn from other independent artists. My name is kaeveryday, and each week I will be speaking with some of the most creative minds in the indie music space, trying to figure out what they have learned while navigating through the music industry without the support of major record labels. This podcast is brought to you by the good people over at King Neppy Studios and powered by Red Weasel Media. Thanks for tuning in to the Unaffiliated Creative Podcast. I'm your host, kaeveryday. This is the indie artist safe place, so take off your shoes, get comfortable, and stay a while. Do us a favor and please rate the show. And if you have any feedback for us, please email us at unaffiliatedcreatives@gmail.com. The guy sitting next to me goes by many names. Prince, Shiptown Slick, and Angry Hearts Deluxe, just to name a few. But I have different names to describe him. Brother, friend, mentor, teacher, and business partner. He was a person who took me under his wing and showed me how to navigate through this thing we call the music business. Not only was he my producer, but he also taught me how to make beats myself. I can honestly say that he's the most talented person that I've ever had a chance to work with, but please don't take my word for it. Just listen to his music because it speaks for itself. I wasn't trying to put him on the spot. I just wanted to take the time to give him a proper introduction, and I wanted to let the audience know what he's meant to me throughout this journey. But now I hope everybody has had the time to get settled and get comfortable. So let's get started. So Prince, what you been up to?
Yo, man. So right now, just getting ready to launch a podcast myself, talking about works, whether it be music, whether it be fashion, but always centered in art. The art is the heart of everything. So, and working on music, never gonna stop that. Always working on music, and just trying to get these things popping out in these streets, man.
So, tell us something about yourself that most people don't know already.
Man, I'd have to say that super eccentric for those that don't know me. Super eccentric.
So you know you're going to have to go in a little more detail than that, man. When you talk about being eccentric, what exactly are you talking about? I mean, you walking around with feathers on your pants? I mean, what are we talking about, man?
I mean, I'm just like an introvert. I'm to myself. Really, I may have 2 or 3 people that I talk to, you being the main one, all the time. Outside of that, I'm in the lab, man, 24/7. And I got to have art around me, as you can see from the set that we've laid out today. Just eccentric, man. That's just how my mind works.
I mean, yeah, we're surrounded by art. I mean, you can't help but see it. It's everywhere. So, yeah. So, when did you first become interested in music?
Oh, man. So, I'm a PK. That's another thing people don't know, that I'm a PK. I'm a preacher's kid. And started out in the church, man, 7 years old, playing drums in church. In the Holiness Church at that. So, had to get that 1-2 right.
Hallelujah.
So
can I get an amen?
So basically been a musician my whole life. So it just went from drums through my teenage years. I actually played baritone in the band. Got cut from the drums in band early on. And then by my teenage years, I fell in love with drum machines and sampling. So, and that's how I got into it. Fun fact, when I first started sampling, we had to take 2 Casio keyboards. They were 2-second samplers, and we had to connect them together to get 4 seconds. And we had to catch rec with 4 seconds in a Boss Dr. rhythm. So that's how we started off. Yep.
I think Prince showing his age a little bit, but that's all right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's wisdom with it.
You were making beats when they was chiseling on rocks, huh?
I ain't gonna say all of that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, But I was definitely in the early days. So yeah.
So you might have already kind of answered this question, but I was just gonna piggyback on what I just asked you. So why do you think you're so passionate about music, and do you feel it had anything to do with you getting cut from the drums? That didn't motivate you, did it?
No, no, I don't think that was the fact. That it was just something that was always there. When the fun fact, I thought I was gonna be an architect. Like, my family thought that's what I was gonna go to school for. I took all the drafting classes, CAD classes. I did an internship in Toronto. But then I found myself in Toronto and drawing nuts and bolts. And I realized that wasn't it. And also was into skateboard. So as a youngin', always the art always, intrigued me. I used to go to the boys club, WW Houston, for any of y'all that are dinosaurs on Azalea Garden Road in Norfolk, and made some great friends lifetime friends. And we always used to huddle up in the arts and crafts part of the boys club. And that's where I kind of got into art, skateboarding, and that just kind of followed me into where I'm at now with doing music. And in Toronto, I thought about it at 17, and I was like, this ain't it. Like, there was something else. I was into, my family bought me a drafting table, the whole nine, and I found myself drawing graphics, NBA logos and stuff like that. I really wasn't into the drafting part. And then the music, once that music thing caught back up with me, that was it. It's a high that I can't explain. So that's what keeps driving me to music.
Well, I didn't think I was going to share this with the audience, but since you shared your story about wanting to be an architect, I don't even know if you know this. I actually wanted to do that too.
Wow.
But I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm going to be honest with everybody out there too. The reason why I got out of it was because I was just real with myself. Math has never really been my strong suit. And in high school, my drafting teacher basically explained to me to go into that field, I basically would have had to take like some of the hardest math as a freshman in college. And I was like, I'm struggling with this math now. So you think I'm gonna go to college and take some harder math than this? And you think I'm gonna do good? I was like, you know what? It might be time for me to do something else.
Right.
So that's kind of what got me out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to draw, but I had to, yeah, I knew that I wasn't gonna shake that math.
Yeah, so and the funny thing is that at 17, like, I knew I wanted to mess with, I knew graphics interested me, but the music thing with, 17 was a very pivotal time in my life because, I went to Princess Anne High School in a very golden period. Like, when they opened up Future Studios right at the back of the band door, band class. So that was like, and I was surrounded by talented people. There was a lot of talent that went to Princess Anne High School back then. Some are well known, and some been in the game that you might not know, but they in the credits. And it was just a crazy time back then. Like, everybody was into music. So I was no different.
Okay, well, I couldn't let you get out of here without asking you some tough questions. So this is probably going to be one of the first tough questions I got to ask you. So I want you to give me your top 5 music producers, top 5 dead or alive, and you can put them in any order. So you don't necessarily have to rank them, meaning like the first one you say doesn't mean that that's who you consider to be the best out of the 5. Just
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's easy. Number 1, Quincy Jones. Somebody that I've followed in the body of work. Like, I always look at the body of work. Sonics. So, like, as me being a producer, the time periods that he produced in, you're talking about, the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, and sustained, and what gives me hope is that he didn't really like hit the stratosphere until he was in his late 40s. So that was definitely like something that drew me to him, and the discography and the melodies, you know, even to this day are still hypnotic. And then right after Quincy, number 2 is going to be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Another sonically sound duo production that transcend time, right? So, you know, I like to study. You know, I'm a student. So if it's going to be something that I'm going to study, I'm not going to study something that's short term. It's going to be long term. And I got to study the sonics. You know, a lot of times, you know, when people make music, I know we're in a vibe generation, but
It's a vibe.
right. But when it comes to sonics, you know, that's something different. And that's what I look at. Third, man, this one's tough. I'm gonna have to make that a 3-way tie between Chucky Thompson, Rodney Jerkins Darkchild, and I'm gonna have to give Teddy his respect. Like, knowing him and knowing what I've learned from him, yeah, I gotta put him in that 3 slot. Darkchild, but just because of the arrangement. Chucky Thompson for melody. Like, some of the most incredible music I've ever heard or touched me was from Chucky Thompson, so I had to put that. Number 4, in the 4 slot, I got to give it to Dr. Dre. Sonically sound. A sonic that transcends time. And last but not least, I'm going to have to give Dilla. That was another influence on me. So for me, I started off producing hip hop. By the time I got into my early 20s, I started playing keys. So I had to study R&B. Plus, playing in church, playing alongside keyboard players, you know, my ear was kind of from an early age. My ear was tuned. So I'd have to say that.
Okay, now we're going to narrow it down. Now, I'm glad you took the time to explain your answers instead of just giving me a quick 5. But now that you done gave, you know, your list, we're going to have to narrow it down a little bit. So who would you say is the GOAT when it comes to music producers?
Quincy. Absolutely. Because without Quincy, you don't have the rest of them. You got to pay homage.
So he was the pioneer, huh?
Absolutely.
There wouldn't be no Michael without Quincy, basically, right?
There wouldn't be a lot of people without Quincy. Like, you know, there's a direct lineage from him to other people. So you got to give him that respect. And I wouldn't even want to run up against him. And he 80-something years old right now. I wouldn't want to go up against him. So I got to give that man his respect. You know, there's no place on earth that he hasn't touched.